Can you guys hear me well? All right. Welcome to our second Kubernetes birthday party. It's been exactly a year since we started here in Google, and I'm very excited to be back 1 year after and in the same spot. So I see a lot of veterans here already, but at the same time, I see a lot of new faces. Julia, my co-organizer. So we have a few quick announcements. So everybody who needs a toilet, you have to go this way on the left.
Men's are this way, women's are
Yeah, but you have to walk all the way around. So yeah, and what else? Anything else for the? Okay, yeah. So unfortunately, we didn't size pizzas very well. So I know some of you didn't get a slice. So we're gonna have a break for cupcakes, and we're gonna get another round of pizza. So don't be worried about that. Yeah, and we at the same time want to say thank you to Google for organizing Pizza Beer and inviting us to this awesome place to do. CloudOps as well, the ones that's actually organizing the meetups itself, and all our sponsors that you already probably saw during the year. So Days actually recently become Microsoft, but the rest is still in place. Yeah, so if you want to be like getting all the slides from all the meetups, we have a Kubernetes Slack channel where we're posting all of the slides from Toronto, Quebec, Ottawa, and Montreal. So you can join there, and we have channels for different tracks. So we recently had a Kubernetes meetup in Ottawa, and we had a Prometheus guy, the one that's doing monitoring. So he said, like, everybody who wants to onboard on Prometheus, he will be helping, to answer questions. And I think we have a guy for OpenShift now. And in general, I think we should build like interest in different groups. And there is Kubernetes channel, like the real one. It also exists, but there's like, I don't know how many thousand people right now there. So nobody's kind of getting answers back. So here we can try to follow up on each question. So please join, take a picture. And if you didn't get a picture, I'll try to put the slides later about that. So you'll just automatically get registered. You don't have to get anything. Just go in there and you should be in. So we had a lot of complaints for the people that every talk they attend or the workshops, they all like, basic Kubernetes, and people want to kind of get like day 2 of the Kubernetes and do CI/CD monitoring and other stuff. So we build the workshops. Right now it's mostly myself who's running them, but we're probably going to expand if there'll be more need. So if you're interested to attend any workshops, you can basically barcode, or there is a link there. So, and we just recently partnered with Google and Azure, so we're going to be doing also the like specific cloud provider training. So if you want to run your Kubernetes in Google Cloud or in Azure and Amazon as well, you can also attend this type of like specific workshops for the cloud provider. So yeah, so we have today 4 talks actually, not 2. I don't know. So that's why we want to order more pizza, because I don't want people starve listening all 4. So we have, thanks. So we have Kubernetes 1.7 update. We have talk about Compose. So people, like developers especially, who is doing Docker Compose, they want to move to Kubernetes to run in production. There's going to be talk from the Red Hat, like one of the main community developers of Compose. And he's going to be talking about some cool tools. Then we're going to have presentation from the cache. So they're using Kubernetes in production with GKE. It's a Google Container Engine. So he'll be talking about how they're doing it there and what problems they have and how to, they're going in the future to improve that. And then at the end, we have a special online guest. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it here from Montreal. He works in Google, Patrick. So he will be like doing a live demo of GKE. So that way you can have like slides and also the demos. So yeah, I can start with Kubernetes 1.7. Unless you have any questions, I can probably go ahead. So also we have some swag. Unfortunately, not a lot, but if you have a good question, I'm going to be sharing some swag with you. So yeah, so Kubernetes 1.7, so about a couple of weeks ago we had a release, and there's a few interesting things I want to talk about. So if you can see, I don't know actually who is using Kubernetes 1.6. Okay, good. And 1.7? One? Okay, good. Yeah, it's too early. I mean, not all the tools that people are using, like for example, in Amazon tool Kops is not ready, but GKE already announced 1.7, so like some people already switched. So if you look into this graph, so what it tells us in Kubernetes, if you're running like 1.6, 1.4, or 1.2, those are like even number releases. They have a lot of stable features, and the ones like 1.7, 1.5, 1.3, they usually have a lot of new features that in alpha. So that's what exactly happened with the 1.7 release. There's a lot of exciting features, but they're not production ready. And if you remember, if you have something in alpha, this is like very risky to run in production. Most probably you don't want to do it, but some people are taking risk and running it. But you have to be aware that it might change completely the name. The API might change, so when you do upgrade, you have to change all of your manifests, and that's how it goes. The beta, I know a lot of people using beta in production, but still, there is a chances that there will be some small improvements. And then stable, this is like production-ready, supported feature from Kubernetes. Yeah, so who remembers like what was the most coolest features in 1.6? I have some presents, as I said. Role-based RBAC. Okay, cool. So anything else? You can Google still, I think. So we had RBAC.
Node affinities or pod affinities?
That was there before.
No, but it wasn't the same. No. It wasn't the same way. It was alpha before, and then you changed it completely in 1.6 how it works.
Okay.
We went through that. We're gonna talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? Stateful sets, what? They were there, but like. Okay. Yeah, anyways, so we have Excel and L's t-shirts, but I can give you sock probably because you already have a t-shirt. Yeah. Just to have a full set.
Nice.
Yeah, I was very excited. In 1.6 there was like dynamic provisioning, so you can actually dynamically provision your storage before you have to like call storage guy telling, hey, can you create a volume for me, and then I'll do PV/C and then create a PV. So now it's like with dynamic storage provisioning, you can provision, let's say I'm using SolidFire, or I'm using Google Cloud or Amazon EBS. It's automatically going to create a volume for you. So, all right. Yeah, so 1.7, what was new? I'm going to be basically discussing myself, and there was a blog post actually in Kubernetes blog channel or Kubernetes blog website, but some people don't like to read, they like to listen, so I'm going to be covering some of them. So there was a lot of work been done. I mean, Kubernetes from the beginning in 1.1, it's already been production ready. So you can do like things like replication controllers, scale your application. You can do rolling upgrades with them, with deployments, and there's like those nice features that people have been using from the beginning. But then, like the complaints were like it's not security compliant. So like things you're storing in the CD is like wide open. So if somebody hacks your CD, you can see all the passwords and secrets and stuff like that. And there was like a lot of stuff that people want to improve, and actually Red Hat was doing a lot of help on that side. There's also things like, in the beginning, everybody was telling that Kubernetes is to run stateless application. So the websites, but the databases is something else. You're still running in VMs. So there was a lot of work done in the stateful sets and stateful applications. So we're going to discuss that. And finally, Kubernetes is trying to work nicely with all tools, let's say Cloud Foundry, or that people want to have catalogs. So there's a lot of work that has been done in to do the extensibility of Kubernetes. So the security part, we have the network policy API became stable. So actually, I didn't ask how many like really new to Kubernetes today here, like the first timers. So yeah, so I'm probably going to explain what is network policy. So network policy, if you don't have it, basically all your pods in the cluster talk to each other. So if you have some of the, some of your Docker containers, if you don't do scanning, for example, it has some vulnerability. It can actually go to all of the pods and do some bad stuff. So with network policy, you can actually create a kind of a rules telling like my front end can only talk to the API, and my API can talk to database, or let's say you can say my namespace can only talk to each other but cannot talk to another namespace. So this feature is available only with specific networks CNI plugins. So if you use Calico networking, or if you use Weave and a few others, like if you using like Flannel, it's not going to work. So it's only, you have to know, like Calico is the most popular, and Canal is like second most popular, and Weave networks. So those, if you have those type of networks, you can use network policy API. And this is like stable right now. This feature is like people super excited because like etcd was like wide open. So now they started to do work. So all the secrets is going to be encrypted in etcd. So I know a lot of banks are very happy about this, but this is still alpha, so this might change. But you still can, start trying to use this feature. Kubelet TLS bootstrapping. I don't know if anybody using kubeadm. Okay, yeah. kubeadm is like, I don't know if you know Swarm in Docker. So you do Swarm init, Swarm join. So this is the same functionality, like you want to deploy Kubernetes cluster with 2 commands, well actually 3 commands. Like you do kubeadm init to start the master node, then you do kubeadm join to join the worker nodes, and then you want to create networking with CNI plugin. So it's 3 commands and you're up and running in Kubernetes. So kubeadm is still like alpha, but there's a lot of work to be done to be like, so it's going to be HA very soon, and having encryption TLS. So that's the kubelet TLS bootstrapping will help to make it more secure. And you should probably look more into using kubeadm. I know a lot of companies using kubeadm for CI/CD part, but the real Kubernetes cluster is used by something more secure and something more HA. But in the future, kubeadm will be useful, stable, and I think everybody should look into that. Node authorizer and admission controller. So those are, again, something to have your pods more secure. So before you can also see the secrets in the pods and stuff like that. So right now, those part is going to be more secure as well. Any questions on security? No? Okay. Cool. So stateful workloads enhancements. So stateful sets. So before, as gentleman said, we had feature called pet sets. It's now called stateful sets, and it mostly work for deployment, but you still need to do upgrades and stuff like that. So they did enhancements to do the rollback and upgrades of stateful sets. So stateful set compared to like normal, container with a persistent volume where you can deploy like a simple database, for example. Stateful sets allows you to run clusters like Percona cluster or Galera cluster or Cassandra's, stuff like that. So it really allows you to run clustered solution with like 1 click of deployment. You can run like 1,000 Cassandra nodes, and you can upgrade it, you can downgrade it. So it's pretty cool. Local storage, another feature that people were looking into. So in the past, we were using kind of NFS, or we're using like something like cloud provider provides you to use. But sometimes people, let's say, running Kubernetes on virtual machine that has solid state drive devices, like very fast one, but they were like sitting there doing nothing. So now you can have local storage for the things like if you want to use big data workloads calculation, and you just want to, like as a developer, want to use the underlying storage, this feature will be available. I don't know if it's going to be possible to really use it for other things because local storage is not migrating easily. So it's going to have a certain limitation and certain use cases. Enhanced updates for daemon sets. So I don't know, daemon sets, somebody's using daemon sets, but yeah. So daemon sets allows you to run container on all the nodes in the cluster. So you just say, I want to run this pod and it's going to be running everywhere. For example, you have Elasticsearch and you want to run Fluentd agent on each node, you will use daemon set. So it was very nice to use them, but there was a problem to do upgrades and rollbacks. So right now they added this functionality to Kubernetes. There's a lot of plugins added. I don't know if there's any OpenStack guys in the room. So like in OpenStack, used to be like every release we had a new storage driver added. So right now in Kubernetes, the same thing. Like they added NetApp. Right now it's StorageOS, but like they keep adding new and new storage plugins, so you can use any type of storages with Kubernetes. And finally, extensibility. So container runtime interfaces enhancement. So basically, what was I going to say? Yeah, so we have a new RPC call channel, so it allows to work much faster. And I don't know if anybody follows the Docker that they created Moby project. And then Moby, Docker used to be like one big monolith, so now split it for the small pieces. So containerd is like very lightweight Docker container without all of this functionality. So Kubernetes is going to be able to also run containerd. And before we had also, for example, Rocket support from CoreOS. And there's like anybody has a container can actually run, with Kubernetes. So not only Docker, but other containers. But of course, Docker is so far is the most popular container to run with Kubernetes. So I think people were like, no, yes, I'm using Kubernetes to run containers, but I have to run my virtual machines somewhere else. So they were very interested to run virtual machines as well with Kubernetes because it's like very easy. You don't have to know how Puppet works, how Ansible works. So there's two companies that working to adding virtual machine support on Kubernetes. So Vertlet, I think it's Mirantis is doing some work on that, and also Red Hat, I think, working on one of them. And Fracti. So those are like you can basically using manifests from Kubernetes, and you can actually schedule KVM virtual machines running in Kubernetes. So sometimes you just have that app, that monolith, very old one, you want to run in VM, so you can run it side by side with Kubernetes containers. I think it's a very cool feature. There is a lot of improvements. So like API aggregation at runtime, this would allow to have like service catalog available with Kubernetes. And I don't know if anybody using operators. Okay, one, yeah. So operators is like very advanced feature of Kubernetes. You can deploy, let's say, like monitoring, or let's say etcd clusters with operators. So operator allows you not only to deploy on Kubernetes, but using Kubernetes API, it allows you to do scaling. It allows you to do upgrades, so you can maintain your application lifecycle within Kubernetes itself by just using Kubernetes command line, and it's very easy. So a lot of work has been done by CoreOS in this direction. They have a lot of operators. So like Prometheus as well, monitoring system you can deploy with operator. So right now they're doing some changes how things work. So before they were using third-party resources. And now they're switching to custom resource definition, CRD. So there's going to be some transition for all of those. So, but the TPR is still going to be supported in 1.7 until 1.8. So yeah, there's actually much more features in Kubernetes been added in 1.7, and we're trying to have like a webinar online. So you might receive an invitation. Like one of the Kubernetes project managers kindly agreed with us to do some workshop. Sorry, not workshop, the webinar. So yeah, I think I'm pretty much good. I don't know, Rancher guys, if you remember, they were here. We did integration with Cloud.ca to run the Rancher thing. I don't know if anybody using Cloud.ca here. Probably not. Okay. Yeah. So I think I'm done from my side. We have, next presentation is from Red Hat on Compose. If you want to start switching, but like if you have any questions, 1.7, it's a good time to ask and get one more t-shirt and maybe something like that. Questions? No questions? Wow, nobody wants a t-shirt. Oh yeah, okay.
Yes, so what's Kubernetes doing to work with Hadoop and...
Okay. Yeah, we have L's and XL's, so I think L is good. Yeah, you're going to be the next one. So the question, what is Kubernetes is doing to work with big data? I just talked about local storage. This is one of the examples. And as you know, in Kubernetes, it's a community, right? There's no company that actually controls Kubernetes, but in the beginning, Google was kind of donated this project to open source it. So there was most of the Google developers who were contributing to it, but right now, Google is like less than 50% contributions. So in terms of like big data, the way the community work, we have different special interest groups. So if, let's say, you're interested with networking, you're going to be joining SIG networking group. If you're working with the storage, there's going to be SIG storage group. So we have a SIG for big data, and you can join there and discuss. I think they're going to have more and more demos because big data, at the end of the day, it's application.
Yeah.
So we have SIG apps team that working with the Helm, for example. And in the beginning, they said we're going to be covering big data, but we see that there's a lot of complexity, and you need to have special guys who knows like how Hadoop works and stuff like that. So this group is going to be generating a lot of features in the future, we think. So like local storage is one of them, but there's more things to come. So yeah.
So for the Spark on Kubernetes, not in container, but natively on Kubernetes.
Not in a container?
Not in container.
Well, you mean like
Mesos or Yarn.
if you want to run Mesos on Kubernetes, you mean?
Running Spark on Kubernetes.
Okay, running Spark on Kubernetes. Yeah, so there is like actually, if you Google, there is several trials people were running, and we have Helm chart for the Spark. It's not like stable chart, so it's probably not ready for production, but if you Google Helm Spark, it's going to be like beta version, and you can use with a certain limitation. But as I said, like we have this special interest group that is working specifically to address, those limitations to run. So.
Are there any PubSub functionality coming to Kubernetes natively?
PubSub?
Or is it going to be running MQ on it forever?
Well, I mean, if you're running in Google Cloud, let's say you have this out of the box, but this is more for messaging, right? Yeah. I mean, you can install any application, like, I don't know, like, what is it? Yeah, RabbitMQ or any MQ. Yeah, so actually, if you go to the Helm charts, you'll find them there, and like, you don't really need to run them with the persistent volumes even sometimes. It depends on your use case, because you just want to have the available. So, yeah. Okay, are you ready to go? Yep. So I have 2 t-shirts more, and then I'm done. Okay. So this is good. Yeah. Thank you, guys.